like it behind you the penis.
That's what we started on, by the way.
Yep, Neil is just too busy eating that strange-looking sausage.
Okay. We stop this now. So, Gilwyn is feeding his horse. The rest of you, you know, whatever you do. Gilwyn
That's
from here...
not a very nice name for Neil.
Feeding him my sausage.
So, Gilwyn, you can, like, from down here, like, you went under the first, like, the second row of whatever's, and you down, you can see the military practice going on. You can, like, oh, okay, it's what's going on. In the middle of the courtyard, I mean, the main castle is the forge, and that's very obvious. And I say castle just because it's the easiest way to describe a big fantasy building, but it's not, like, that fortified in that way. There are parapets on the outside, but, you know, it is defendable. And it would be very defendable just because of the way it's built, but it's not intended for defense. It's intended for this. But you also, there's a very nice statue. It is kind of like an angel. It's like an elven sort of angel, and it is sort of androgynous. It could be either gender. It's exactly what Scott described later, where depending on the light or your opinion or thing as an artist, maybe it's stylized. But the wings are like actually on the ground. They've been like the wings have been cut off. You have no idea what it means. It's kind of like a really sad and kind of morbid statue, but it's beautifully made out of this marble that's white with these orange streaks. It's the main, like, it's the center of this settlement. Yeah. So, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is the plan stage. You've got actually a good plan. But,
I should probably change a little. I was having a think. I do not want to. I should probably be your guide rather than your hunter in terms of if we want me to speak. It would not do for our noble lady here to not be talking without a reason.
It would also make sense to have an elven guide in an elven land.
Yes.
So this would be the best course of action. But yes, that is our cover. We need to think about how to actually firstly find out who this woman is, and
we
then
go to the Ghast Forges. We play it out as if we are looking for this male. We've got the measurements, etc. Hopefully we lay eyes on the Ghast lady, and then once we know who she is, maybe we could follow her home, find out where she goes, this sort of thing. If we cannot ask direct questions, that appears to be the best way to go towards it, perhaps?
certainly, but we would at least need a description of her to work off of. We have nothing.
Looks good, Scott. God damn it. Well, this is should be easy enough to do. If she is, oh my god, that is much longer than I expected.
I wasn't paying attention. What are you doing over here?
Dean flashed his peen.
Oh, I'm banned now.
Sorry, rip Holly stream.
Bye. I hardly knew ye.
I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry.
Images of Dean's peen.
Dean Peen. Hashtag.
What was I saying, Arbin?
You were saying you were explaining how
yes.
we would go about finding who this woman is.
She surely would have an air of authority if we were to head to the forges. And once we are there, we may be so lucky as to see her giving orders, or perhaps we could speak to the foreman just briefly and say, well, you know, my lady is very important. She wants to be sure that she is being treated fairly. Could we speak with another noble?
Ollie, can I roll like history or something for knowing how Fafamel is sort of set up in terms of whether this is likely?
Yeah. Sure. Makes a lot of sense, yo.
With my crap -1. Oh yeah, go me! Double that one's in a row, consecutive that one.
There's something about this having to do with a noble and an aghast noble and a smith and soldiers, and you're panicking.
Yeah.
Every other roll was a natural
you're
one.
Finding this this plan, this idea of coming to this place, sure wasn't maybe the best idea, but you were going to do it because you're loyal. Now you're realizing what it actually constitutes of. You're starting to panic. Maybe you're not showing it. I don't know if I think Caitlin is actually quite good at hiding that, but you are panicking. You fucking roleplay it into the situation in the future, you bitch.
Yeah.
He said, "Get to work, bitch."
Yeah. Yes. This is
Work,
certainly
work.
a good idea, but I can't help but feel it might not be so easy. But if you are confident, Vale, then that is good enough for me, I suppose.
I am confident, yes, but you must also be confident. Look like a noble. Breathe it. Come on. If you
Galen
act
will take
it,
a
they
few
will
deep
believe.
breaths. That Galen will take a few deep breaths, and she will look back to normal. She's not inside, but she looks back to normal.
Vale's going to put his hands on his hips. He said, he goes, I said noble. Not you. Noble. Come on. Look down your nose at us. We are below you. Yes, we work for you. Maybe a little bit of respect for the smith, but that is it. Oh, and maybe the bard. You smile at him from time and time again. We are your subjects. I am hired. You do not even know who I am.
How dare you speak to me like that, you mere hireling?
Better.
You do not have to deal with this.
It is not convincing. It is not good.
No, don't you comment on that.
I'm just saying.
Vale's like, good. That's
Yeah.
very good. Let's go.
Yeah, just keep me quiet for the entire everything that happens from now on.
Sounds good to me.
Listen, this task is not very hard. Caitlin, you sound like Vale talking to attractive young lady. You need to sound like this woman with very out of style leopard print gloves. This woman. This is who you need to sound like. Like you are better than us because you are born.
Catherine actually pales at that. Like the thought of imitating her, but just like nods slightly shakily. Like you're doing the exact opposite of reassuring her here.
So you not need act like human in elven lands. You need to act like elf in everybody else's lands. Like they are all shit and you are better than them because you do not smell like shit. You do, but never mind.
Vale raises an eyebrow when you're like, when Forrest's like, yeah, you smell of shit, and Forrest's like, Vale's like, what?
Gilwin's been like grinning the whole time. These two have been trying to coach.
I will do my best, Sir Forak, but I might be able to pull off the look, but as I have previously said, it might be best to leave the talking up to other people.
Chin up a little higher.
Yes, quite.
Let's go.
So you're going to the main forge, the main building. Very obvious, you know. Several doors. Actually, open archways.
Left my longbow in my horse's saddlebags.
That makes it. I was gonna say I wasn't gonna mention it. I was gonna assume that you actually would have left that.
I mean, I got my pistol, but people might not recognize that as a weapon. So.
Exactly. You're kind of good for that right now. So there are many doors of this place. You can just sort of enter, and Forak, you're hit with some familiar smells and some unfamiliar smells. It does smell like a forge. It's not as smoky. It's cleaner, which I don't know if you like. The others are like, oh, this is so much nicer than the Dwarven Forge. Jesus. Because it's super high ceilings. In fact, this is like huge castle is mostly one large chamber with walkways and open platforms, although there are separate rooms on the outside of the building. But from inside out, it kind of just looks like one massive chamber, right? And that kind of keeps the air, it's still going to smell like a forge. There is still the pollution inherent, but due to the way that they do everything and the air, and they're pumping fresher air into this place, it's not as bad.
This is good. You smell this. This smells like the forge, but the new air makes for better combustion with the fire. Higher temperature.
Exactly. So basically the lower floor is a sales area, almost like a market, but not quite. It's the kind of place, it's like a large shop or like an auction house where there's lots of things, and if you go like, I'm interested in this, they'll like say, oh, there's someone will go over to you and start talking about it. And after a little bit of walking around, and they have like, this is an example of the great sword of this style, or ancient, like there's lots of different styles. They do even do the occasional mock of other styles. For particular, it depends, but there's a lot of high elven designed weaponry. Nothing quite ever goes as Sun Elf, but high elf weapons are very they don't have sort of the flow of wood elven weapons, and the way high elves and especially sun elves kind of are in just broad terms, they're very templary, right? So a great sword is a big long thing that's probably not weighted properly for a human, but you know, that kind of stuff.
So when Vale sees this, he's gonna turn to Caitlin and be like, Mistress, if you would pardon me for a moment, I wish to inquire about the high elven weaponry.
Yes, of course, you do that.
Give
So
her a little
you go over to like an attendant.
Yeah.
They happily start talking to you. They don't really give you all a second glance, aside from you're new here, but people drift in and out all the time for this kind of thing. So, oh, hello. I see you're interested in our Thundral forged collection. Yes, the style of the City of Magic. It has its benefits. It definitely does.
It is what I am used to. I'm at a... let me see.
Hey, Caitlin, this sword on your back, the one that I cleaned for you. Give me the sword.
I pull off the sword and hand it over to him.
I'll be right back. Hold the sword like over my shoulder as I go walking over to and I have to. It's not like most people wouldn't want to do that. They would want to hold it better, but I'm so fucking short. I actually have to do that because it's huge, and walk my way over to Vale.
Cool.
I'll wait for him to speak.
Yes, so Vale, I am after a scimitar of the high elven style. The sword with the angled curve, it is not good for my swordplay. I need the straight designs of the high elven ones.
Yes, we create these with the finest weighting and the finest metalcraft in a variety of styles, if you wish. For a showman's weapon, but of course, and she starts showing you. I mean, if you want to just straight buy one here, it is 25 gold, just like it is in the book. But this is the kind of place you could pay any number of extra gold to get any number of fancier. This is the kind of place where you could get your weapon with like gems in the hilt. Be able to get enchantments here? Yes, but that would be asking in a very different place in a very different way.
I don't have the money.
No, I know. I'm just bringing it up.
Vale would probably be tempted by some of the like a gem in the hilt. He'd probably be tempted by that. So I think I'll go for high elven scimitar with a gem in the hilt.
All right, let's go ahead and just give that a flat 100 gold because that's just a nice number. Of course, it's not like going to be like the largest chunk of gem in the finest quality, but you know it is a lovely made thing. I mean, just the normal scimitars are expensive and lovely made things, and it's one of the things they definitely let you pick one up and try, and it's definitely not custom made for you, but it's closer to what you trained in, but not exactly. It's a mixture between what you trained in and what you've been using on ships for a while, right?
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you were hoping. It's nice. It's pretty sweet.
What sort of gem should it be? What's reasonable for that price?
Nothing super fancy. I can get you like a list of not
Topaz?
very high.
Or is that
I think
extremely
topaz is reasonable. Basically, you're not going to get quartz because quartz is used for magic, and any of the typical ones you think of like crystal, sapphire, emerald, they're always expensive. So topaz I think is fairly reasonable. You can also go with like amber. Amber is very high elven. Like a nice chunk of amber.
I'll go for amber. That'll be
Sweet.
nice.
So he's having this conversation. I imagine this conversation goes on for 30 minutes or so of going through different tables and buying these things. And he never, the attendant never really glances to the others. I mean, Forak's there, and he does acknowledge that he's carrying a sword. At this point, he thinks that, they're just, those two are together, and the other two, who knows, That kind of thing's going on.
Well, once they're kind of, along their conversation, pardon me, I'm here for my lady. And I gesture, over at her, but not in a graceful way whatsoever.
Yeah.
She has many times used this sword right here to vanquish many a foe, but she has terrible taste and likes elven shit. So she would like to have this thing with elven shit put on it.
Would you want an engraving?
Please.
He goes to take it from you, but in a more formed way, perhaps. He doesn't take it from you, he's just hand it.
I'll slap it forward, onto my hand, and then just kind of hold it outwards at him. Usually, the grease that's on your fingers is really bad for metal. It causes it to rust and whatnot very quickly. So you don't want to ever touch a sword with your hands or whatever. However, I imagine Forak doesn't naturally produce that grease anymore, being long since dead.
And this guy is definitely wearing gloves, right? So he sort of takes it off to a different place and goes, we will discuss engravings in great detail. Is there anything particular that they would wish? Or simply just something that would fit the current design of the weapon already? It is quite an old thing. It's seen quite the wear and tear, which is very... And he just goes through this conversation for a while. And I imagine, considering he's having this...
It is used many times, and it is not of original elven craft because she needs to actually kill things with it. However, she has twisted views of what is considered stylish, and so she wants elven letters on there, even if she generally wears human or dwarven crafted weapons.
He doesn't find much issue with this. Are you going to pay for an engraving, or are you just sort of comparing prices and having a talk? Or
I want to hear how much it costs.
I'd say for engraving this thing quite largely with a very basic design, let's say 15 gold.
I will gladly take the 15 gold out of my pocket and present it and say, in this engraving, I wanted to say on there. I think I wanted to say, my apologies, I speak a little strange. What she wanted to say on there is ever loyal.
He nods and basically ends up getting handed off to other people who start this very delicate process that you're willing to watch. That's almost part of the price. Caitlin, do you follow? Do you watch what he's doing with this sword? Caitlin, Gilwin, what have you guys been doing while they're both off?
Yeah, at this point I'm going to trot back over, obviously.
I would just be looking around, trying to look as noble as possible, just observing things.
Give me a deception roll.
Oh boy.
With disadvantage.
I've got what? Sorry.
With disadvantage.
Disadvantage. Okay.
You've got a natural one earlier.
Ones in a row. I can't get another one.
Oh, can't you?
That's what I'm hoping.
Both of those were close.
Oh, that was close.
Both of those were close. So yeah, you feel like you're doing a good job, and you actually are the others could tell you if they were going to break character. You part of the thing is you're standing back, just kind of glaring at people, is very in character for what you're doing. As these two both go off and do their own thing, but they're kind of Vale doesn't necessarily say it, but it's it's for you, even though he's you know what I mean. That is the impression that people are going to be getting across.
Yeah, I'm trying to play the suck up sort of bad, so I would be following her all over. Mm-hmm. If she took a step to the right, I would take a step to the right.
It gets annoying pretty fast, but So Vale comes back over with a new sword. Forak is busy for a while, unless he wants to walk back over, which he can. But I imagine he'll be watching. I don't know why. I feel like that's just something he would do.
Unless she needs me to go be a part of this ruse, I'm going to stand there and do exactly watch over their shoulder with a sneer on my face.
I mean, at this point, can we just grab one of the attendants?
Don't.
I guess. At this point, there's no reason to go deeper into the forge or that sort of thing. We'll get one of the attendants and Excuse me.
Yes.
I have a request from my lady. She wishes to speak with one of the owners of the forge in terms of getting a to-order fitted elven male. As you can see already from her armor, she is quite the fan of the elven style, and I believe she has some interesting and expensive tweaks that she would wish to make from the current style. We have traveled a long way from North London. Perhaps we could have a seat, a room, some refreshments to discuss the dealings. I am sure my lady will be more than happy to amply make up for the skill of the well, as you know, your skill is worldwide fame.
Give me a deception roll.
Oh boy.
Roll well.
It's all right.
He
It's not
kind of
horrific.
is like,
That's not bad.
yes, we'll find you a room while we get an appropriate member of the house to discuss this with you, my friends. And he leads you three away, and not away like into the back to kill you. Actually, further up, like up a spiral staircase to another area, and it actually looks over some forges and smelters, and especially the engraving station. You can actually see Vorak from up here, like over the railing. It's almost like if it would have a cafe, it'd be a cafe, you know, like tables and chairs and things.
Yeah.
And you actually probably could get that. You do get water. You get like fresh water with little chunks of ice in it, which is, you know, actually a luxury. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You really are.
But aren't melting in the heat of this room, so.
Also, I want someone to add that as a quote. And she leads you away. You know, not away to kill you.
And you are sort of sat there for a bit, although someone's always keeping watch on you. For a while, someone shows up. They look fairly fancy. They're wearing not noble wear. This isn't the kind of place you'd wear noble wear if you're working. But they have a sword on each hip, and she has a kind of stern face and goes over and is like, "So I'm hearing that you be wanting some weapons."
I'm going to speak in Elvish.
Yes, I would assume most of this would be in Elvish, if not.
Yeah, I'm just going to make sure that if my previous inquiry turned down,
Yeah.
I'm going to switch over to Elvish.
Makes sense.
And,
I'm gonna
sense.
ask
bow.
real quickly. Sorry, Neil. Would you get Vorak before the private meeting, or would you leave
so I'm
him
like,
down there?
No,
Okay.
I'd gesture. I'd be like,
Okay.
I think it's better for you to be there in terms of
Yeah, but you speak, of course.
looking legit. So my reason for speaking in Elvish is I'm trying to avoid Caitlin having to talk. So I'm going to speak in Elvish.
Well, I actually speak Elvish, but I'm pretending at this point that I
Pretend
don't.
you don't. Yeah. I'm going to bow, which I wouldn't do, but typically. But
She kind of still seems surprised that you're bowing.
my lady wished to speak to someone of higher status with regards to getting a two-order, slightly unusual order of a male suit of armor.
Understandable. I'm a specialist in exotic materials, which might be perfect if this armor... Is this armor for the battlefield or for dress?
It is for show, but it also has to hold up upon the battlefield. This is why we have traveled here. Wishing not to be rude to my lady, perhaps you could introduce yourself.
She nods and steps forward and is... My name is Kellon Moon Aghast. Yeah, like Avea's just like, that's not who we were looking for. Fag.
Greetings. My name is Maria Lyellen. I am a noble from Northumberland. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
She kind of nods and then turns back to Vale because it's very similar. Often, like, maybe translator, maybe whatever. It's just way easier. What is your thinking? I have Quicksilver tucked away for such a thing. Everything would be a price. Quicksilver, well, rare but could be acquired. So on, so forth.
The Quicksilver you mentioned has been considered several times. My my dwarvish colleague here is the lady's personal smith. He will be undertaking maintenance of the armor. Quicksilver is not the easiest
Oh, no.
material to maintain. I was hoping perhaps you could arrange for him to have some training in terms of looking after it. My lady is very specific about the armor maintaining its original luster.
It would be difficult with Quicksilver. It comes from Valheim. It requires magic folded into every motion to craft it, to maintain it. Is this one of magical nature?
As she asks that question, she looks at Forak, and he's like really digging at an itch on like his lower right cheek. Like,
And she's like, she actually doesn't look as disgusted as you imagine an elf should do. She kind of like smiles like she's trying not to laugh.
Vale's gonna like look over at the same time. He's, he has some potency with the magical arts. However, the lady does have a vast household at her command. So between his skill with metal and the court wizard's skill with magic, I believe that it would be possible if he were to have thorough notes and pass it on.
I think that's reasonable. If we forged his suit specially, he could oversee the process. Learn some of the magics. She kind of pauses, and you don't need to do an insight roll to see.
The difficult bit, and this is what will require this day. We wish for you to source us, for the undermail garment, some white dragon scales. We understand that this is not a common material, and we are willing to wait for the suit to be forged and pay most handsomely.
I'm actually curious. I don't speak Elven. I don't think any of us speak Elven except for these two, right? So Navigator, right? Would we know the Elvish word for like dragons?
Well, an interesting thing about the Elvish word for dragon.
Out?
The Elvish word for dragon is the Draconic word for dragon, so it does stand out. Because
so it's one of those things where, like, when he says that, like speaking as this person, I'm pretty sure Gilwin's as well. Our ears would perk up. Like, the fuck did he just say over there?
Therefore, of course, we will be taking up residence within the town for some months, potentially.
She clearly looks troubled, but doesn't want to say, like, no. This... I will require... I will need to communicate with the head of the city. I will return, perhaps with her, to truly talk with you with this.
Yes, my lady would much appreciate a chance to meet her and thank her for the craftsmanship and skill of her underlings. I would also like to thank you for your time in our current discussion. Good day, ma'am.
She kind of nods and, like, it's one of those things that Elven conversations are usually just as polite. You know how, like, some languages have, like, a polite version and an impolite version? Elves just have a polite version, and, like, the impolite version is used by other races that kind of use a bastardization of Elvish, you know? Some people say that the impolite version became Gnomish, but, you know, that's an old Elven joke. Haha. She's like, yeah, you're being polite, this is nice nudes, but I'm genuinely not uncomfortable. You know, it's like when someone tells you to do something and it's your job, but it's way above your pay grade and skill. So she kind of like rushes off with a little more speed to her step, just somewhere else. There's a lot of doors in the way this building is designed. Sometimes you can't tell an archway from a doorway from a decoration. So she just kind of like gets lost in the place.
While she's off, I am going to fill the rest in on the happenings.
Mm-hmm.
If they ask about payment, we will say that we have a carriage heavily guarded coming in 2 weeks. It carries 4 chests of silver with a total of, let's say, 12,000 gold pieces. Of course, the lady wished to get the process started as she needs the armor for a formal dress event.
4 days?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I misheard.
Yes, 2 weeks until the gold arrives, and several months until the suit is ready, obviously. That should give us plenty of time to leave. Do you think 2 weeks will be good enough? I should think it will suffice in terms of
I think if we haven't found anything by then, we're not likely to find anything.
Yeah.
Any longer, and they will not bite.
Why did you say this word dragon?
Yeah, I heard that as well.
The armor is going to be a composite of quicksilver and white dragon scale. The
Are you
quicksilver,
fucking kidding me?
the quicksilver they can order in, but the white dragon scale is the trick to it is the reason for us hanging around. They do not have it, but we are willing to order it. We will not go and get it ourselves. Therefore, there are going to be several weeks of time for us to stay here.
Are we talking about young dragon scale, like the little wormlings, or like real dragon
I
scale?
have no skill in this matter, and I'll give him a wink. A scale is a scale to me.
I turn to Gil and I'm like, do you understand what he is propositioning?
Who? Vale?
This fucker.
I like the idea that Gillen's been paying attention so much he kind of flipped over to losing the plot again. Yeah.
He's like, this armor that he's referring to is worth a king's treasure hoard. This is not what you put on. To think such materials in the hands of elves, it's waste.
We need to pick their interest, Vorak.
No, I understand. It's just elves. They make it look pretty. They don't make it look They don't make it functional and then make it pretty. They make it pretty and then try to make it functional. There's a difference. I choose stop the arrow and then look nice, rather than look nice and maybe stop the arrow.
So while you're having that, usually you're dealing with elves. You would imagine this wait would take a while. No, she's starting to come back. And she's not alone. Although the person that's walking with her, she's actually going at a slower pace. Completely looks really odd. She is an elven woman, yes. But her legs and her sort of chest downwards is all wood.
Met this lady.
It's
Oh, yes, we
like
met
a
her.
dryad's lower body has been fused onto her. And in parts, you can actually see it almost loop around, like it's held onto her. And she is wearing fairly noble wear, but it's actually far more. It's actually the opposite of what Thorax is kind of. Elves make things pretty than function. This is definitely function over prettiness. In fact, she looks very beat up. She is a woman who has many scars that haven't healed properly. Like you can see quite a lot of her skin, and especially near the wound that has caused her to be, like this, is very scarred, red, broken. And the wooden legs are also fairly beaten up, but where you can actually see like areas where it's re-healed and it's turned in almost a different color or something. And she is walking a little slowly, but very well. It's like someone who has prosthetic legs essentially, but they've had them for a long time. Some people can get a really good gait going, but it's never exactly the same. So she walks up close, and she has quite short hair for an elf. It's like short with braids, but they're quite short braids, and she kind of glares at you with a little bit of an accusation, and kind of points at Caitlin, but only like for a moment, and then like realizes you probably shouldn't point, and sort of like puts her finger to her mouth and's like, "What is your business, ma'am? You are requesting an incredibly expensive piece of equipment that could be forged here in Faithful.
I told you this is not the place to go and have this made. They're already intimidated by handling these materials. You should have come to Dwarven Forge and have it done correctly. I know you like the fencing, I know you like the fashion, but I tell you all the time, you get the function.
And I'm going to
Master
turn
Smith,
to her.
that is enough.
I'm
I
gonna turn
respect
to
you that we do not share an opinion on this, but I wish this to be of elven design.
Yes, my lady. As I
Yes,
said,
lady.
the Crimson Forges would not do the trick. It is best you came here. Please, my lady has had some matter of contention over this for several days.
She's already had me beaten 3 times.
They're like
The funny thing is, like, the woman who goes up to you is laughed, but it's like one of those, like, it's a laugh, but she's not like smiling. She's kind of smiling. The other woman, Kellen, who you were talking to, is smiling. She finds this situation actually really funny. But the other woman is like, maybe it's just a polite smile, or maybe she's generally laughing. I don't know. You could do an insight if you actually cared.
I care.
And she just sort of like,
I care.
we can forge this for you. We can get you dragon scales. It was a real laugh. It was a real laugh that was stopped to not be insulting. You know. We can get you dragon scales. We can get you Quicksilver. I have worked with Quicksilver in the past. A long time ago, but I've worked it. I know the magic's inside it.
Perhaps
Lady... What is your name?
Maria Caitlin wouldn't actually fumble that. Maria Leyland.
Maria.
If you could address the lady as Lady... what was it?
In... Lelaine?
Leyland.
Leyland.
In
It's
my
a
forge, we go by first names. Or nothing.
He'll bow his head as you wish.
And Caitlin, you don't even need to do a roll to know that that is really weird. Kind of insulting in an elven culture. You know, you go by last names. Especially in a business
I
area.
would narrow my
Military area.
This is very strange. This is like a dwarven clan, where you go by name rather than clan name, since usually we all are related anyway.
I told you the forges of Fatamel. There is a reason they are so renowned.
Yes, I know you keep saying such things. I know.
We can do this. I just need guarantee that the money would come. This would be an extremely expensive job that would require cooperation of almost all of my workers.
We do not have the large amount of our gold on us at this time due to the large amount of gold we would have had to transport. It is coming under 30 guard escort and should be arriving in a couple of weeks via carriage. Unfortunately, due to the size of the carriage, it was not able to take the train between Northampton and Crimson Mountain. This is why it is such a slow journey.
Give me a deception roll, but I'll say with advantage because that is damn accurate, stuff. You're saying accurate things that she would understand.
13 days, precisely, I've been told.
Fuck yes.
Yes, but this
thank
is
God, advantage.
Elvengard. I mean, what you expect actually protected.
Well, then we can start the designs while we are getting things in. White Dragon Scale can be acquired. Quicksilver can be acquired. Again, it'll take time. To get Quicksilver from the north, they either go down and south and have to deal with tariffs and taxes, or up and south and deal with uncivilized people, like having to stop in Bastilian. It is not the best place. Somewhere not... Well, this seems reasonable.
If I may
Maria.
ask, would a smith here, a Mr. Grow, be able to follow you for some of the smithing process? I wish not for your smithing secrets to be revealed, but obviously he must know how to properly maintain the armor. And if he were to work with such a legendary smith as you, he would very much like it, would you not, Mr. Grow? I will turn and very pointedly show what I expect him to say.
I'll look at him longingly with disdain, and then I'll turn to her and give her like a very yellowed and toothy smile, and a couple of them are cracked, and I'm like, yes, very, very appreciative of the time spent in your, honestly, probably the best place in the city.
So Kellen...
And it says that last part genuinely.
So the Kellen taps this woman on the side and whispers something in Elvish that Vale with your ears can definitely hear. Is a sort of like, the dwarf doesn't want to work with us, was being forced to. It's just like a the half dried woman like kind of does like, is one of those where you like, not like a full laugh, but like that you actually were tickled by it, and it's like, I was informed for the processes of Quicksilver, yeah, there will be more price, but considering the entire thing, it would be negligible in the most part. And she is very mobile when she's talking. She kind of like often is on one leg, and walking. This can be arranged, but honestly, first of all, we will need to take all of your measurements, and we'll have to start going through designs that you would like of something of this magnitude.
This has already
this would be
been done. Do you think that
no,
here,
we will be doing things in-house.
Boy, give me your, and I like gesture for Gilwin to give him the slip of paper. It's like an old piece of parchment paper with 2 different handwritings on it. Just random, like, way too many body parts being measured than really need to be done. These are like uncomfortable body parts to be measuring. Too many of them.
She looks at this.
Numbers next to them.
She looks like this and looks at Caitlin. And Caitlin, give me an insight roll.
Oh, this is. Does
she just go?
Does she count?
Yeah, she's noble. Yeah.
Then I'm at disadvantage here.
It's a shame because I really want you to get this.
Interesting that you measured areola size.
There's a spark in this woman's eyes when she's kind of like does do that. She does look you up and down, and there's a spark there that wasn't there before. Although she's got very bright eyes, as it were, anyway. And she kind of like folds the piece of paper and actually like tucks it in like a crease in the bark on like her thigh, and it kind of like it gets absorbed in for a moment. It's like, this will help, but we will be doing more personal measurements when we have the gambeson ready and such things. We can work on these under leathers in the meantime while we design the full outfit. And yes, it would be my pleasure to let you all stay here. There are suites free, or you can stay at the local tavern. I'm afraid it doesn't have much of a name. We do not get many. Well, we get the occasional visitors, but you know what I mean.
My lady would prefer if we were able to have rooms within the forge itself. She took exception to something the bartender said, and I think it would be wise for his safety if we were to not go back.
Deception.
Oh, this one's gonna be bad. I can see.
This is the one.
Oh, it's passable.
12.
I just wish I was a cleric and I had like guidance. I could be like, may peace be with you. May peace be with you.
She's like, and Kellen's like, and you can hear in Elvish again, Vale, just because you're most intent in this conversation, you understand Elvish, and you can hear good, right? It's like, go on. What harm can they do? Plus, I kind of find the short one pretty entertaining.
Can I insight? I want to see what's the relationship between these two?
Mm-hmm.
Are they close? Is she like, come on?
Feel free.
Oh.
They are very close.
Would I suggest romantically involved, perhaps?
If it is, it's one way and not the other.
Yeah.
You can tell just from this conversation, and you actually caught that look that the half-dryad woman was giving to Caitlin. She is inclined towards the female form.
That's why she wants to take measurements. Listen, you don't just take all these measurements for the sake of being. Never mind.
So that you're like, maybe one way, maybe not the other way, but
you've taken area.
Very. They have a very close relationship.
Do this too.
That's where most of the armor is. You know how it is. It's high level mage gear. You know, you gotta show most of the boob, but not the nip. That would make it rude.
Free the nips. # free the nips.
But yeah, there is a relationship that's strong, and you can see the preciseness of it. just because of the very strange
Basically,
city.
yeah.
is-
My feelings are that they are close. They work together. They're friends. But perhaps the lesser one respects and perhaps admires, perhaps a little bit.
a little bit
towards
too
her.
much, maybe. That's probably the idea.
but
yeah,
it's not a. There's
it's
not.
not.
That sort
They're
of
not a
spark
couple.
that-
But that like touching of the arm was very, that kind of thing. So the woman kind of like, yes, it would be it'd be a pleasure to have you here, Maria. It'd be lovely. You'll also have the pleasure of telling people that you have been given rooms and you've spent time with Leyreth Agast, and that is something that travels quite well in some parts of the Elven lands.
I believe Troubadour was intending to make a song about such. Perhaps even the forging itself, should it come to such a wondrous occasion.
What a remarkable idea! I adore song. I genuinely do. If he were to write a song, I would love to hear it. I know a few people who would greatly enjoy that, actually. But this is not a discussion for now. What is a discussion for now is, which side of the castle do you want your rooms to be on? Do you want? And this conversation starts for a bit, and she starts leading you to a suite. Now, she does actually say that this will be added onto the cost, but not for very much, just because they kind of can't.
It's like a package deal.
Yeah, it's like a package deal. But you are shown off to a suite that is a
Buy one armor, get 3 nights free.
yeah, it's like a open. You see no of these kind of things in this kind of situation. It's like one open joined room, and there are actually 6 bedrooms off this. You don't need that many rooms, but who knows what's going to happen. But the bedrooms aren't that big. They don't have double beds or anything like that. But they are very nice quality. It's a lovely little chamber. You're out of the way of the most of the forge. You're quite a few floors up. It takes a long time to go up and down from the main floor, but I don't know how often you will. And there's a balcony that is a beautiful view, because you can look over the forest that way and the mountains that way and the dwarven lands that way. It is a very interesting view if you're careful and maybe hang off it a little bit. So you're shown to this room, and the conversations continue for a bit before she bids you good day, and she actually shakes hands with Vale. I don't know if Maria would go in for shaking of the hands, but she doesn't go in for one. And she would actually ask for Vale's name at one point, and you can tell me whatever you want to tell me. Your name is Vale.
My name is Valley.
Alright, she will keep that in mind, and then she will sort of be like, we will, just keep in mind we will enter when we need to talk. And then she kind of leaves. And Kellen, the other woman, kind of like shakes her head and is like, I almost can't believe this. Last time dwarves stayed in Fairfamel, they were sieging it. And then she kind of walks off. And then the door, she walks off and actually closes the door.
Vale's
to the
gonna
chamber.
plump himself down in a chair and. Well, that went well.
That was masterful.
Be cautious that this room is not in any. They cannot hear us in here.
I merely mean the negotiations for the armor, my lady.
Yeah, I would have whispered that anyway. Yes, quite. They went rather excellently. I'm looking forward to acquiring this excellent piece.
Ooh. Lads.
Can I like sidle up to Gilwyn, put an arm around him,
Yeah.
and be like, is there any chance you would be able to do something in terms of listening for magical wards? I am not capable of that sort of arcane art.
I could give it a go.
Just have a listen, have a feel, have a sniff.
Yeah. I'll give a sniff, yeah.
I'm a firm believer of you can sniff magic.
Yeah, that's kind of become the lore over these D&D games, mostly with Ian. You can smell magic. And it kind of works for
There's
Thorak.
too much magic because I rolled a nat 1 on my Encarta check again.
Yeah, it's likely. Go and give me an Arcana check if you want to do a quick check over, which I imagine you would be passing as you're sort of going around with your lute, strumming randomly. But
Yeah.
you'd be sort of sensing.
Saying some words like forge and armor and quicksilver. Having a
And
thing.
then I like
We're
strumming, then going
forged in armor with
strumming, then going
silver.
do,
For
do, 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 do.
strumming my lute.
Bad.
I'm not searching for magical rewards. I don't know what
So
you're talking about.
you go around the room. You go around all of the rooms, just sort of like ambiently rolling around. And you actually something of note. The way the rooms are laid out, some of the rooms have doors that open into other rooms, like the private bedrooms. So that's just a thing, right? So you kind of can go like through a loop, never going through the same room twice. You do sense magic, but on the outer walls. If there was some kind of listening device, which is entirely probable, right? You didn't sense it, which doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but you're fairly sure that, like, okay, it's not here. Something like that would be such strong magic you would notice it. You'd probably be able to see it unless it was really strong magic. You definitely sense enchantments actually outside below you on the outer wall. Probably some kind of fortification enchantments weaved into the stone or the metal or something, which is very elven and not that weird.
I think we're okay, Vale. Or Valley.
Yes, a little bit of my surname there. I have a very, very. My mind is exploding. I have a good plan for the situation. We have several prongs of attack. Okay.
So we will discuss these prongs of attack next time. You're gonna have to write them down
quickly.
You're gonna have to write them down.
Type them up.
So
it's fine. I'll get you to put them in your journal for next week.
Oh, thanks.
So why don't we start with who you are, what are you doing? Let's go to Neil. Hello, Neil. You're over there. You're like directly
Hello,
here to me.
Neil.
Hello.
I'm an English guy, and I heard about this American bloke who's I don't really have too much presence on social media, but if you tweet me, I will reply. I don't do too many tweets myself. I do like.
We'll get him there.
I've done 2 tweets. I'm getting on board with this Twitter hype.
Just
I tweeted you like 2.5 hours ago. Got nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, he did. Whether he replied to
Make
you
my
is a
day
different
if I get
thing.
a tweet from you. And this is the point in the show where I shamelessly plug everyone, where I say everyone's very talented. Dean's very good at music, very good at editing. I have heard some new music has been added to some form of trailer through the grapevine. Hype for that. Ollie, continually doing art. I've recently got a new token for my D&D character.
We did that yesterday on stream.
Yes, so that's Kel. He's my baby. That's why I know so much about this world. So if you have questions about it, ask me.
Literally, they interacted with this character.
Yeah, so
with their other party. But like as a bit character that existed, and they only
like, oh yeah, we know her because we've met her before. We've been to Fathamel a couple of times, actually. So it's interesting coming back as all these different characters and like hearing what different characters think about places.
The at-with moment is definitely a moment.
And of course, Scott and Ollie both stream, and they work really hard for streaming because it's actually quite tiring for me just to stream one a week, but these guys stream all the time and far too much, and they need more time off, and they should have more rests and more breaks. And I'm not sure that Ollie sleeps, but yeah, they're really good guys. So you should give them sleepy. You should give them sleepy bits.
Sleepy bits. All right.
Ollie wanted to cuddle and nap.
Let's roll down the chain to Dean. Dean, tell us about your amazing self. You are a talented boy.
If you want to find me anywhere, just type Dean Cutty and you'll find me. Anywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Xhamster, wherever you want to find me, I'm there. I don't think there's a Judge Mathis coming out this week, which is every other week I edit for a good friend of mine, Mathis Games, and he covers a retro or modern game with some comedic elements, but I don't think we're doing any of those this week. I say this every week, but I'm working on a couple of videos myself, but I'm very slow. So at some point, youtube.com/Dean Cutty will have a new video, which are also comedy videos if you're interested in video games. And checkpoint.org, which is a charity organisation run by my friend Jennifer Hazel. I've written music for her Kickstarter series, which should be coming out soon. I think it's also called Checkpoint, but that should be coming out fairly soon. And I think there's a trailer coming. And I wrote the music for it, and I'm very proud of it. And I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Awesome. Let's go to someone who is just as proud to be here. Ian/RV. Can you tell that I kind of got bored of like my own joke? Because I did.
You completely. I was going to go in with something completely different from what I normally would. But yeah, okay.
Really?
No, I was just going to go in with something completely stupid, but I'm not going to now. You ruined it.
I mean, what you do is completely stupid, so, you know.
Thank you.
Wow.
I am Ian/Arvine/Caitlin/ whatever you want to call me, /Maria, apparently.
Maria.
Incidentally, in case you're wondering, Maria is Caitlin's little sister. Just
That's an interesting little twisto. I didn't even know she had a little sister. Or remember.
It's in her bio.
That's why I added remember, right? That's the step there.
But yes, I am very much like Neil. I am just some random person who happens to be in Ollie's other in Ollie's other game, so I got an invite. I do the journal for this, Caitlin's journal. From perspective.
If you miss an episode, that's a good way to catch up, but not spoil it if you want to watch it later. You know, that's the idea of it, and it's in character, and it's clever. It's also like an insight into Caitlin as a character, which is nice. It's smart.
Other than that, if you want to tweet me, again, I'm happy to answer any questions about the world, about Caitlin. If you want to accuse her of being a turncoat.
Or
also,
who she should
if you wanted to know more about Arvine as well, my other character, who my account is named after, you will. Other than that, you will see me tweeting about how Arvine is being bullied on the other.
Every Monday, you'll see her tweets from Arvine that are about what horrible things have happened to her on the Monday game
basically.
That isn't streamed.
That's what I've got.
It's become a thing. Well, let's talk about a terrible thing. Go from one terrible DM to another terrible DM. It's Delric coming in the green corner.
I'm sorry. Are you sure you're talking about me? 'Cause I thought he just said terrible DM. If I remember correctly, you just killed a child. So I was gonna leave it.
That's not a DM thing. I haven't done that DMing. I did that in character.
I was gonna leave. I'll let you kill a child. You're welcome. For world immersion.
Oh my
okay.
God.
Moving on. Hi. So anyways, in case you don't know, Ollie and I just released the fact that we have been working on building a community together called False Pretenses. That's right, False Pretenses, no false pretenses.
How to make it
it is we have a Discord going for it right now. Did you hear that? I heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey there. No false pretenses. There is a Discord we have going for it. There's a link for that and everything. You can always click on it, join the community, join the fun, and so on and so forth. Other than that, the only thing I'm going to say about myself is recently I played Elite Dangerous literally 2 nights ago for the first time ever in my life. It was so much fun. I loved it. If you want to watch some of the worst space trucking you've ever seen in your life, you want to watch the 16-minute landings, 16-minute ship landings. That's if you want to watch me literally get so angry, I'm about to throw my keyboard at the wall.
And yet he's gonna go back. He's gonna go back.
But I'm gonna go back because Rick is a cool guy, and I want to spend more time with Rick. But anyways, so thank you all very much. I'm good. Who are you, Ollie?
I am Ollie. If you're here, you might know me, but sometimes you roll in from other shows. Who knows? Maybe you roll in from Dean's X-Hamster videos. Who knows? So, I'm Ollie. I do art. Everything in this channel is drawn at some point by me. The art streams are on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 PM BST. I actually don't know what I'm going to be doing on the Friday art stream. I might be doing some personal illustration unless someone wants to commission me in the next couple of days. I do know that there was talk of a commission of Reich from our Friday show as a Disney princess. Oh, that's right, the Friday show! I play a necromancer named Stalbor who is very pissed off at the moment. If people want to...
Stop. Go back to commission what?
Oh, you'll hear more about it in the future, I'm sure. But that's a nice thing that's going on. And on Sundays, I do a game stream where I'm playing Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is actually an amazing game, and we have so much fun. I'm so glad to be doing a game stream that I'm really enjoying at the moment. I've got some good big plans coming for the game streams. And after my art streams, something interesting. Hey, that Necromancer Stalbor, I'm going to be making him in The Sims, and we'll be playing him after my art streams, and I'm probably going to make I'm probably going to make these guys in character and put them in the world somewhere. I feel like they're going to live in the posh neighborhood. So, as that.
Yeah. But
That's...
Forek's gonna live in the sewers.
Forek's gonna live in this. I can't be asked to make Forek a separate family. I'm boring. But how am I gonna make Forek super ugly? We'll see. Anyway, that's about that. That's the end of the show. If you missed some, check out the VODs. They'll be up at some point. Do whatever you want to do. We'll see you all in a week. Yeah? A week. Yeah. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Tomorrow, later on today.